Greetings, my YouTube family. Thank you so much for visiting this channel, and today I'm going to talk about how to invest in the Berkshire Hathaway. But this part is going to be in two series. The first one, I'm going to talk about the history and the performance of Berkshire Hathaway over the past couple of years since it started trading publicly, and the other part, I'm going to then show you how to actually buy the shares. But before I get started, I'm just going to disclaimer that this is not investment advice. So just understand that this is content for educational purposes. Now, on my agenda for this part, I'm going to, like I said, talk about what is Berkshire Hathaway. In particular, there are two classes of share: the class one, the class A shares, and the class B shares. The most expensive one is the class A, and then the class B are the ones that are cheaper in terms of their price per share, and that's the one that I'm going to focus on as a retail investor because that's the one that I can afford. And I'm going to walk you through the history of Berkshire Hathaway Incorporation. That is the fund that is managed by Warren Buffett and other top leadership. And I walk you through the past performance for the past 10 years and the all-time since it started trading in the New York Stock Exchange. And I will then compare the performance of Berkshire Hathaway, particularly the class uh, uh, B shares and the S&P 500, which is a major index that most investors use to compare the annual returns, and conclude by sharing with you what I think about these funds. Now, just for starters, I'm Isaac Jonas, and I started this YouTube channel, Streetwise Economics, to share educational content about personal finance and investing. And I hold two master's degrees from the University of British Columbia in my first degree in economics from the University of Zimbabwe. And I've been fortunate to get numerous funding for my graduate studies in Canada. And I'm a retail investor. I started investing in the Canadian and US stock exchanges in 2010. So I've been learning quite a lot. But even before that, I was fascinated by the world of finance. That's why I pursued economics as my undergraduate degree. And outside my day job, I like to write. I'm actually writing my manuscript, my book actually on personal finance and investing, but I also write extensively on my LinkedIn profile and Facebook. I just started doing that regularly this year, so you can check that out if you are interested. Now, going to the business of the day, Berkshire Hathaway Incorporation is a very popular publicly listed corporation that started early 1965, and it is led by Warren Buffett as the chief executive officer. But it started off, buying companies from the textile industries, and then it grew now. Having businesses, as Warren Buffett likes to call them, in insurance, like Geico is a very popular one. But also internationally, they also hold other businesses, and even in the United States, with currently their major shareholding in Apple. I will talk more about that in the part B. Now, this fund, from the information that I got from my broker, it's worth 475 billion, and it's actually one of the top publicly listed funds globally in terms of the market capitalization. And like I said, there's class A, which is mostly for those who can afford them, because each share costs about $500,000, actually almost 600,000 now. And as of close of business, it was this price, 555,300 dollars per share as of 5 January 2024. And then the class B ones, these are the ones that I also like to buy, and they go for 365.59. That was as of January 5 in this year, and of course they fluctuate every day. And For class A, it's mostly owned by institutional investors. So, like I said, I focus on class B in this analysis. Now, if you look at the past performance over the past 10 years for the Berkshire Hathaway, you can see that it has been mostly on the green. In other words, the annual performance has been returning positive returns with only 1 year in 2015 between this period of 2015 to 2024. But you can see that it's just the beginning of the year. So this one, I would just ignore this because it's just a few days in the year. So this was the lowest that it closed with negative 12.06%. That was in 2015. And most of the years, actually, it was positive with uh, the highest return in 2021 of almost 30%. Now, I looked at the data from Berkshire Hathaway from the time the fund was started, but this, what it means actually is that this data includes the Class A shares, but then Class B, they started trading in the late 1990s. So I then pulled this data and just drew this graph in Excel, but you will see that in comparison with the S&P 500 since 1965 to 2022, Berkshire Hathaway has been outperforming the S&P 500. You can see this is Berkshire Hathaway in a blue line, and the S&P 500 is the one that is in orange. And so it's very clear because it's on top, and if you draw a trend line, you can see that it has been outperforming the S&P 500, which is the major index constituting 80% of most publicly listed businesses in the US. So this is very interesting, and no doubt a lot of people, including myself, regard Warren Buffett as one of the legendary investors of all time. So I am not really surprised. So I like investing in these shares because I actually get to have Warren Buffett manage my own money, in the sense that when I invest, I'm a shareholder and he manages the fund, and I get to benefit from this superb return. You can see that between 1964 and 2022, as on the graph, if you annualize and on a year-to-year basis, on average over these years, uh, Berkshire Hathaway Class B, they retained 19.8% per year, whilst the S&P 500 retained 9.9%. So it's almost actually double. So if you invested your money basically with Warren Buffett's fund, what it means is in 5 years it will have doubled. So this is very interesting. And the last point is that over the same period, if you then look at the cumulative returns from the beginning, you can see that the fund managed by Warren Buffett, the Berkshire Hathaway, has returned over almost 4 million times. You can see here versus the almost 25,000% if you add this cumulatively. So this is fantastic. So I like investing in this fund because it has been beating the S&P 500 consistently and is diversified. So I'm going to talk more about that in part B of this series. So thank you so much for staying this far, and I will continue on part B of this series.